Hey everyone, Big Rove here and welcome to a brand new video. This is a new series that I kind of want to start and get up, and I have some ideas for the series, and so far I've been hitting a lot of roadblocks, so I've just decided to record this, catch your thoughts, and we can go from there. We're going to call this series Efficiency Talks, or UIM Efficiency Talks, and what I really want to do is just talk about some aspects of efficiency in each skill. And my goal was to have some other people to come and talk and make it more of a podcast and just have some questions guiding discussion, but because the Ultimate Ironman community is so awkward, I couldn't quite find anybody to do that. So I'm just going to start this video with me and hopefully in the future some efficiency-minded people or people who could at least comment on efficiency will join me in some of these next episodes. So this first episode I'd like to talk about construction methods. There are four methods that we're going to be talking about: the oak construction method, the limestone method, the zeah gang method, and the teak construction method. And so I'll go over each of those in time, but first I want to talk about efficiency and how I consider it. Generally, when I think of efficiency, I think of efficient hours played, or EHP. And when I calculate my EHP, my thoughts of EHP, I always take whatever the highest XP you can get in a skill and use that as the baseline. So for example, the highest XP in a skill in construction for Ultimate Ironman is 65 KXP per hour doing limestone. Maybe you could get a little bit more than that, but I'm doing that as a baseline. And so anything that I look at, whether or not it is efficient, I look at it in how much XP is it getting compared to limestone and compared to all these other methods, and what other XP is it getting. And so that's the first thing to understand going into this. And the second thing to understand is that there are three things to really consider when it comes to the efficiency of certain construction method. The first is the cost. The money has to come from somewhere. Construction is a viable skill and you will lose money on it. The second is requirements. I don't care how great a method is if you can only do it with max cape. Most people won't be doing it. There are only a few max Ultimate Ironmen, and very few of them actually care about post-max XP. And so the requirements do matter a lot. And the last thing that matters is additional XP. And that is, what other XP are you getting while doing this method? And so I will talk about all of those as we jump into the oak construction method right now. The oak construction method is certainly one of the most well-known and probably the most popular because it is a lot easier than limestone, and it still has some competitive rates. At 40 KXP per hour, you're getting about 65% EHP, and then you get an additional 25k woodcutting XP per hour, which is an additional 0.13 EHP, and altogether it is, as I would consider it, as my math counts, 75% of EHP, 75.42% of EHP, and especially with really low requirements, it's a pretty good method. However, as good as the method is, and as many people do like it, I still have to recognize that 0.75 EHP is not really that great, and 4.4 GP per XP is the second highest cost of any skill. And so, in my opinion, this is the most inefficient of all the methods. The limestone construction method is certainly not a super popular one, as many people think that it's far too click intensive and not worth it. Though it is the most efficient when it comes to how much XP per hour you can sustain in construction alone. And at 3.34 GP per XP, it's the second cheapest method of all of them. However, it does have pretty high requirements, and that's the Mauritania hard diary, so that you can teleport to get the limestone. And that's 58 Slayer, 70 Prayer, 71 Agility, and 50 Construction. And there's no additional XP. Now there is Magic, but Magic is a passive skill, and so I don't really count that as additional XP. And so with how click intensive it is and how high the requirements are, it's not really that great of a method. Certainly it's great for late game, but assume that you choose to go the skiller route and do skilling before Slayer, maybe you want to get the gilded altar before you start Slayer, well, this really isn't a method that you can use because you need 58 Slayer to do it. And so this is maybe a viable method for people at the end of their game or in late game, but it certainly isn't a method for most Ultimate Iron Men, as most Ultimate Iron Men don't even make it to that part of their game. The Teak construction method isn't a super well-known one, but generally what you do is you use the Arceus teleport to Ape Atoll and you cut an inventory of Teaks, and then you teleport to your house. You use the spell box 2 to teleport to the woodcutting guild. At the woodcutting guild you make planks, Teak planks, and then you go to your house, you use those Teak planks, and then you teleport back. So the requirements are the Arceus Spellbook, 90 Magic, and 99 Construction or House Tabs. Now this is also the most expensive of the methods at 5.5 GP per XP. However, this grants 50k XP per hour in construction and 50k XP per hour in woodcutting, which brings this to a pretty close to 1 EHP ratio with the woodcutting EHP and the construction EHP. So it's actually a pretty good method, though it has high requirements. And I would like to note that the XP per hour for construction does not count the time to make house tabs if you aren't 99 construction. I do think that this method is very popular and should be a well-known and used method amongst higher level Ultimate Iron Men, once you have the stats for that, because it is a lot more calm than Limestone, a lot less click intensive, and still just about 1 EHP altogether. The gang method is the last that I want to discuss, and this one is actually a really unknown method as far as I can tell, and this is the one that I've used for construction up until now, and I think it's great. If you don't know, gangs or organized crime is a mini-game type thing in the Shazian house on Zeah, and it grants a lot of perks, but one of the main perks is that these gang members, the gang boss and the gang members, drop noted planks. And so with this noted planks, using melee at just 101 or 102 combat, I was storing 52k construction experience per hour. And the cost was nothing. In fact, I was actually making money, only about 50k XP per hour, so not making a lot of money, but still that would be about 1 GP per XP gain. The requirements are fairly low. You need higher combat and Shazian favor, and if you use your inventory space correctly, you can get 90k melee XP per hour. Now, I have not tried a high-level range or magic method to this, but you could chin them or barrage them and possibly store more than 52k XP per hour. Now, because melee experience is passive, that makes this method actually not EHP. It doesn't make it 1 EHP. It makes it about 0.8 EHP. And so you also get melee experience, but because that's passive, it doesn't add anything to the EHP. But for 1 GP per XP gain, this is actually a pretty good method. Now I should also note that this requires a lot of focus, a lot of attention, and you do lose XP per hour if it's a very busy time at the gang method in Zeah when other peers are using the method for melee XP. But I do believe that if you used higher level range with chins or barraging, I believe that you could store up to about 60 or to 70k construction XP per hour. And that doesn't count using the planks, though using the planks is so quick, I hardly think that's worth counting in. So that's my thoughts on the different methods. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear it, and I'd really love to hear your thoughts about the methods, thoughts about which are the most efficient. In my opinion, I think that the Teak is the way to go. It is a beautiful blend between high EHP, but also calm and less intensive. Certainly if you want the fastest method, I believe that would be the limestone method, and if you want an experimental method, or if you want to train your combat XP, the gang method, I believe, would be the way to go. All of them have their viability, and all of them are part of construction training at one point. So tell me your thoughts, tell me what you think. I'd love to hear it, and this comes to the end of the episode. If you want to be involved in another episode about whatever I talk about next, please reach out to me. And if you are efficiency minded, I'd love to hear your thoughts and have an open dialogue for episode number 2, 3, and beyond. You have a great day, and I hope you enjoy playing RuneScape.